You've mentioned three guys who, to an extraordinary degree, embody the antithesis of everything I'm talking about. I mean, these are, I mean, in Trump, you literally have the most narcissistic person I think anyone can name in our lifetime or probably any other lifetime. I mean, I really just don't. I don't think that's hyperbole. I think he has less. He's leading less of an examined life than anyone I could name, and I could go into what I mean by that. But I mean, I think he's actually scarcely human in his incapacities. Just his inability to care about other people, his inability to form normal relationships, his inability to even put his children before the interests of his children before his own. I mean, it is just astonishing the kinds of things he can't do. Right.
He seems from, I know people that know him and are live in his building and are quite
Right.
close to him, and he's very close in the Jewish community and you're familiar with, and not on the West Coast as familiar as on the East Coast, but they all speak about him as a father, at least specifically as a father, not as, well, I can utilize and leverage my son-in-law's, and my daughter's, works and time and network to for my own venal benefit, which I wouldn't do business with him either. But from all accounts that I've heard firsthand, he is a good father. He is committed to his children and so forth. Yes, he may forget his wife's name or whatever, but who among us hasn't done that? But tell me, Sam, specifically with regard to children, I don't care about the political side. I agree with you. He's a very complicated.
No, but I'm not
person.
talking about politics either. I'm talking about who he is as a person. I mean, yeah, so I don't have any direct insight to what he's like behind closed doors, but the way he is in public, I mean, I've seen enough of him, and long before he was president. I mean, we've seen this guy he's been famous for at least 30 years, right? This is the kind of person who, like I've literally seen this happen, where someone will praise his children to him, right? And his first response is to say that they've only accomplished what they've accomplished because they've been riding his coattails. It's all about him, even in that moment, right? It's just like the opposite intuition you'd have as a so-called good father, that someone is saying I don't believe it for a second that he's a good father.
Nachas, we call it nachas in
Yeah,
Yiddish.
there's absolutely no way he's a good father. I mean, I'll just, sight unseen, I'll play that game of poker all day long. He is demonstrably the least honest person anyone can name. He lies with a velocity and a pointlessness and an obviousness that we have never seen in public life, in any quarter of public life. It's just astonishing. It's clearly some kind of insane compulsion to distort the truth, even when it doesn't matter, even when it's counterproductive. I mean, he'll lie about the thing he said 5 minutes ago when you can rewind the tape and see what he said 5 minutes ago, right? It's like a self-immolation exercise. It's insanity. I mean, don't get me started on Trump. He is the, as I've said before, paradoxically, if he were a better person, he would be more dangerous. I mean, he's worse than some people who are quite a bit more dangerous and more evil than he is. He lacks the virtues you need to be as dangerous as you might be, right? Like, he's not courageous, right? If he were courageous, he'd be worse. If he were ideological, if he could get out of himself for long enough to care about something bigger than himself, he'd be scarier, right? He's not Hitler because he's not committed to anything beyond himself. If he were capable of having some ideology for which he would sacrifice himself, like Hitler or Osama bin Laden or any real bad guy, right? Well, then he'd be scarier. But he doesn't even have those virtues, right? So he's just...
So we can at least say that Trump is better than Hitler. That'll be the title of the other.
No, that's my point. He's actually worse than Hitler in a strange way, not in a way that makes him scary, in a way that makes him pathetic. Effective. Again, this is a paradox which a lot of dumb people will not take the time to understand, and they'll want to clip me out of context and summarize what I just said as saying that Trump is worse than Hitler. But if you actually think about the components of a human mind that are virtues, in certain contexts, they are diabolical virtues, right? Like you can become like the scariest person is not the least organized, least disciplined, right? No, to be really scary and to be really dangerous, there are certain virtues you need. You have certain strengths. You need a certain kind of malign integrity, right? He doesn't have any of that, right? So he's a very strange person. People fail to notice, how peculiar he is. Right. This is just not this is not a normal situation that we have someone this prominent who may yet be president again, who psychologically is this strange. I mean, it's just so obvious. It's just right on the surface to be seen. But the two other people you name are also people who are not normal. I mean, they're not normal in their self-absorption, right? And to some degree, it's, I think in Elon's case, it could be a matter of what fame has done to him. I mean, he's the one I know personally, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dishonesty, and there's a lot of lack of integrity ethically in all of these people, and it worries me that they have the influence that they have.